Hey, welcome to God's Glory and Men's Real Stories. I'm excited that you're here, and if you're listening for the first time or you're back for another great episode, I want to thank you for joining us. I want to start by letting you know that your story and what you may be going through, they matter, and you're not alone. So try not to worry about what chapter you're in, because if you trust God with your story, He's going to breathe life back into it. So sit back with a community that cares about you and hopes that you feel God's love as well as see God's glory and men's real stories. So this podcast is nothing without the men who God has put it on their hearts to say yes to joining me. And I appreciate those who have shown interest by filling out the Google Doc so that my team can sort through and let God lead us to our future guests. But today's special guest is a brother I've known for a long time. And after reconnecting at a men's retreat, The Outpost, I'm excited to catch up with him today and hear what God's done in his life since our first encounter years ago. So I want to welcome our brother, Joey Blancher, to the episode. What's going on, bro?
Not much, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, no, it's a blessing, man. It's awesome to, I know we don't always get to connect, but we go back to, like, honestly, even before I had kids. Like, I remember, before we both had kids, when right before you were getting married. Yep. And we met at my condo a long time ago through my cousin. And, I remember when I first met you, I was like, yo, who is this kid? Like, how does my cousin know this? Like, how did that even happen? How did that even happen? Like, how did they get to know? They seem so different, but they're both from Rock Hill. And so I was like, well, hey, look, Rock Hill must be a small city, I mean, like, he must not have had a lot of, one is like, he must not have had a lot of choices, but I was really talking about you. And that, this guy is pretty crazy, but like, no, it was really, that started what I thought would be like a one time, I met this kid, I'll never meet him again, only to bump back into you where it was we were just like, dude, what are you doing here?
Right.
Where'd you come from? So before we even jump into all that, bro, let me let you introduce yourself.
So I'm Joey Blanchard, 39, and I'm married and a father of 4 boys. I got lots of boys, y'all. It's a lot. I'm a chiropractor, so busy work life too. And, it's been an awesome journey, kind of getting married at a young age, raising kids from a young age. And now at 39, seeing them kind of come into their own and hitting them teenage years, and makes me feel old too.
Yeah.
So if y'all at that age where y'all starting to feel old, your kids taller and bigger than y'all, I'm there.
Okay, wait a minute, bro. Oh, wait. When did you? What age did you start having kids? When did you have your first kid?
We had our first son. I was 23.
Oh,
I was 23, so I wasn't too young.
No,
some kids have teenage babies and stuff, but maturity wise. Yes, I was young. Okay. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but it's turned into best and most beautiful things I ever did.
For sure. Well, the crazy thing about it is age. I tell my son all the time, age has nothing to do with maturity. Like, I've known grown men, I'm talking about like 50s, and I'm just like, bro, like you've got to stop. You can't. That's not going to fly. You can't. I mean, you can, but like, and you almost want to be like, when you going to grow up? But the truth is that by age, they have grown up. Maybe they just never held themselves to an accountability level to say, you know what? I got to grow though. Like, I got to mentally grow, not just physically grow.
I think it comes down to like reaction to adversity. I think at a young age, you don't know how to react to adversity. You don't have the tools to be an adult.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At 39, I can respond to a problem a lot better than I could at 23.
For sure.
And so I think the difference is, while some people may say, all right, time to get my life together, I need different than this. Some people react by doing the opposite, making it jokeful or using that as an excuse to bow out, bow down, be less than what God made them to be.
Yeah.
And I think I think we could all agree that we know all kind of people that we know them at 39 now, and it's the same as when they were 23. You know?
Very true.
And it all goes back to when you get adversity in life, which is going to happen, how did you react? What were the actions that followed that?
Yeah. I think that even when you speak on that, though, a lot of people that you've looked at their adversity, like people that you've been around where you kind of look back on how they handled adversity. Sometimes we mimic how they handle adversity until we realize deep in it that, like,
that ain't
wait
it.
a minute, this ain't it. This ain't it.
Like, nah.
Like, wait a minute. This, like, I mean, they made it look like it was like something that worked really well. They made it look like yeah.
It looks it you know, it's like a sports car. It looks great until them payments start coming in. You know what I'm saying? So
you got the nerve.
Yeah, right. No, I got the experience.
Yeah, you do.
I got the experience. But that's the thing is that's the whole point of why they react that way is they're putting on that persona of I'm all right. Yeah, this thing I'm having a great life. It's okay. No, it's not.
And so you end up so you end up literally mimicking it. Because you looked at how they did it.
Good to you,
it looked
so
good.
You're like, I'm gonna be like him.
Like he made it seem like it was so cool. And so I just ran the same play. And then you get down in there and you're like, wait a minute, bro. Wait, did you experience this? Like did you go through this? And if they still around to talk to, they're like, oh yeah, I did, bro. Look, that kind of sucks, don't it?
I'll tell you a story. So being in medical school, not only did we get married at a young age, we had 2 kids during my time in there. And yeah, that wasn't it. Talking about something that wasn't it. And I'll never forget, they front load all your classes, you know, so all the hard stuff's in the beginning. And I got to the hardest class they had, which was neuroanatomy, brain anatomy. You had to be a brain surgeon. That was right after we had number 2. And the way it works is if you fail the first time, you can take it a second time, but then you're done. You don't get a third time. Or if your GPA drops. So the first time I made a 50 on the final or on the midterm, there wasn't but a midterm and a final. And I was like, well, I can't take the GPA hit. I'm out. So then the second time, it's like, this is it. And I made a 56 on the midterm.
Are we talking about like out of 100, bro?
Yes, we're talking about out of 100. So patience of mine, if you're listening, I love y'all. It's what came after that that's important.
Right.
But you know what happened though?
What's that?
I decided it was time to change, and I had a reason to fight. I looked at my kids and my wife, and I said, "No, y'all deserve better. I can give y'all better, and I know God made me for better." And I'll never forget my father-in-law, who passed away. God bless his heart. He was an awesome father figure to me. He circled us in their den of their house right after I failed that test. And all 5, my wife and her 4 sisters, my mother-in-law, me, we circled it up, we prayed it in, and we prayed over that class. And I prayed and I studied, prayed, got a tutor. I made a 98 on that final exam. Never made lower than an A or B on any other class after that.
That's what's up. Wow.
So you talk about adversity, a reaction to change, you know, having kids at that young age, well, wasn't ideal. It was my why. It was my why. Yep.
That's wow.
And when I tell you taking that test, like, you know how sometimes they have the answer keys with the bolded answer? I still to this day think I had the answer key. And the only one I missed one question. The only time I missed it is because I was like, I don't know. That's a trick. Maybe it's not that answer, but I knew the answer. So that's what God will do for you, man, is when you put him in priority and you realize that I'm not really the person supposed to be steering the ship. I got out my own way.
Yeah.
I let him start taking control. And that was a turning point for me big time.
Yeah. Wow. Now, was that okay? So was that always the case in your life? Like, and I recognize that some people's stories start with I was I grew up in the church, and so that's all I've known. And so there were times where my faith was super strong, and then there were times where, bro, I was struggling, man. I was struggling with seeing it. I was doubting it. I couldn't see past what was in front of my face to put my eyes on God and say, I trust you. And man, this is crazy. And I trust you. But like, what was it like for you as far as, before your father-in-law showed up in your living room and y'all prayed over, he circled everybody up and y'all prayed over that test? Was that a part of your life? Like, did you always see God as like, I can trust him even when I don't trust myself?
No. So I was raised with a Catholic background, but we stopped going to church when I was maybe 8. Mom had to go to work. We fell out of church. Cool thing about my wife, first time when we started dating, our first conversation, you gonna be with me, you gonna go to church, and I want kids. that was her first 2 demands. I was like, I don't know about maybe the kids down the road. It wasn't that far down the road. I said, but look like I'm going to church. And she pulled me back into church, man. And that led to me playing catch up a lot of our marriage, because she was raised in a church, I wasn't. And I always seen myself as inferior spiritually to her. And if there ever was a blessing to not having my father-in-law around, that was it, because she came to me and was like, all right, he's gone. I have you. It's me and you. I need you to lead me.
Wow.
So
okay. So, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, wow. Okay. Wait a minute. So if I understood you correctly, your wife knew that it was a man's job to lead the family. That was God's design.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew that you were growing spiritually. So in that moment, at that time, she was looking to her dad to be the spiritual leader of y'all's home.
Oh, yeah. Her saying was, if I said no, he'll say yes. That was literally her saying. But you know why though? It was immaturity and lack of leadership. Because if I did that, then guess what? There was no need to go back to dad.
Sheesh. Oh,
right?
Oh, wow, bro. Okay. So first of all, know this. I appreciate you saying that, because I recognize how, like, and even people love to quote the scripture and say, when we're married, you leave your mother and father and you cleave to me. Mm-hmm. I'm to guide you. But the truth is that, and I've been saying, oh my goodness, man, I've been thinking this a lot, yo. I know people always have these requirements of like what they want in a man. Like, what does that man have to look like, and how does he have to lead, and all these other things. And I always hear my mind go back to, a man's never going to be perfect. No. But when a man is looking to God for God to lead him, then you can trust that man to lead you.
That's the saying, is how can I follow you if I don't know who you're following?
Come on now. Mm-hmm. And so when you're not seeking after God, but you're leading your family by simply providing and protecting, there is no guidance in your life. You're protecting based on how you've been taught to protect. You're providing based on how you've been taught to provide. Right. But there's nobody spiritually leading you and guiding you, not just for yourself, because you've been doing that before you had a family, but now for the entire family, because now you are the head of the household, and it is your job to lead that family. Now a lot of people don't look at that as a pressure thing, like, oh man, I got this.
Right.
But I believe that to truly have it, it's like having a mentor. Of like, I have a mentor who helps me understand some of the pitfalls that they've been through to help me understand some of the things I may see. And I think that every man needs a mentor. But the question is who is your mentor being led by?
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Let me ask you this question. How many men are married, may or may not have kids, but let's say have kids, and they feel like putting food on the table, keeping a roof over the home, and showing up back to the house every night, that's providing and leading the family. So look,
hey,
how many men are like that?
Hey man, we're not here to attack men now. No. but no, I get what you're asking. And so how many men are like that? There are a lot of men that are like that. But I think the better question is, how have all these men been led to believe that simply providing, protecting, and showing back home every day is the requirement of a man, and that is all you have to do. If you provide, if you protect, and if you come home, then that is it. That's the job of a man.
I check that box.
Right. And so I think when that is like the plateau of what a man is, then that is going to be what you're going to see across the board. And there's not enough men out here talking about how that's not enough, bro. If like matter of fact, how about this? What happens if you lose your job? You are 50% of a man. What happens? What happens if you have a great job, but you and your wife go out one night and you accidentally bump into somebody who turns around and knocks you out and leaves you sitting there with your wife on the floor? How much of a protector are you? You are now 50% of a man, which is why I believe that men have this thing of like, I can't go out like that. Because if I lose that fight, I'm 50% of a man. If I don't have a job, I'm 50% of a man. So in that case, like I got to keep the scale level with these two requirements of me, because that's the only thing that signifies me as a man. But when you realize, as I have learned, that I am more than a provider and protector, I am a small part of the provision. I am what's seen as the protection. But the truth is that when we get in our car and I'm leaving out the driveway, I'm driving down the street just to get gas. What do we think about in most cases? We think about praying. We think about saying, God, make sure I get home safe. Make sure I get there safe. Watch over my family. Why is that?
You know why? We look at our standards as the ways of the world. I'll use the example.
Okay.
If you got a bulletproof vest on, right? The ways of the world are the vest. But if you following God and you putting God in the center of your life, he's the Kevlar in the vest. So if you don't got God in your life, that's like walking around with a bulletproof vest that's got no Kevlar. You might feel secure. It might feel nice and comfy. You might feel like I'm safe. I got my vest on. What happens when it gets put to the test? You know what I'm saying? Or
okay, but if you think about it though, how many times have you been walking around with that vest on, knowing that God is the Kevlar, and next thing you know, you be like, hey man, I think that hurt a little bit. I'm bleeding. Like I'm bleeding. Like, wait a minute, God. Wait a minute. Like I thought you was gonna take that one for it.
Well, think about how a vest works though. It stops the bullet from going through. It didn't say it ain't gonna hurt. Oh, that bullet's gonna hurt.
Come on now.
That bullet's gonna hurt.
And listen, I think that's the beauty of life. God never said that it wouldn't hurt.
And also the beauty of it too is the vest is never gonna stop the trigger from being pulled.
For sure.
The vet, it's like your children. How many times you see your children doing something and you like, that's going to end bad. I'm gonna try and coach them and put good knowledge into them. Mm-hmm. They still gonna do it their way anyway. Mm-hmm. But we're that, as their father, we're that Kevlar. Okay, when that bullet gets shot through that vest, we're gonna be that Kevlar to keep them protected. We're gonna be there to support them and protect them and hold them up when they get knocked down or, when things don't go their way. I'm gonna be there to pick them back up, dust them off, and we're gonna get them back going. And I think that's how God does us as His children. He never promises us a trouble-free life.
Yeah.
He never promises us that we don't come across adversity.
For sure.
Jesus came across adversity.
For sure. But okay. So then I got a question for you. Then, if God is the Kevlar for us, and we're the Kevlar for our kids, what happens when we're not there anymore? And they look to you to pick them up.
That's a good question.
I think that goes back. Question. I think that goes back to like, and I was reading this recently, how it is in our nature to need a savior, but want to be a savior. Mm-hmm. And oh my God. Okay, bro. That is crazy what just crossed my head. So I'm not comparing me or anybody to Satan. But think about it. Satan recognized the praise that God was getting. Mm-hmm. And as he stood there, and he was the minister of worship. He was the instrument of worship. Yep. And he started to feel that praise that God was getting. He got praise envy. And I think a lot of times we recognize that God blessed us with kids. But sometimes we see him as our savior, but we see ourselves as their savior instead of pointing them to him. Mm-hmm. To say, like, you know what? I may not always be here. My faith may not always be strong. So look, I can't save you forever.
Right.
Nor should I be saving you. And if I'm learning to like seek him, then you're going to have to learn to seek him too, because if I don't.
For yourself. See, that's the thing. So can an infant pray for itself? Can an infant go to God and petition for itself?
Come on.
It needs us. It needs us to be the bulletproof vest in that moment. It needs us to be the Kevlar.
But hold on, wait a minute. You're right. It needs us to do that in order to mimic what we're doing. Uh-huh. Like I got a 5-year-old. My 5-year-old knows how to pray. She knows how to pray for other people. She knows how to intercede because she's seen me. Right. Not just because she was born with that. And so we're to demonstrate to them how to seek him.
There you go.
And the best way we can demonstrate it, though, is, all right, so peep this. Let's just say me and your son, they both get in the car and they go out and they get in some trouble. Mm-hmm. And let's just say, God forbid, they both call us from the same cell. like, Dad, hey, look, is my dad over there with you? Yeah. Look, we got into some trouble. We need you to come and get us out. And look, man, I'm sorry. I think at that moment, I think it's up to us to demonstrate the fact that, like, you know what, son, I forgive you. I'm disappointed. Mm-hmm. I'm upset. But I recognize that when I was in the same space you were in at one time, my father forgave me. And he told me that in forgiving me and asking for forgiveness, it required a level of change. It required a level of repentance. And repentance isn't just like, yo, you forgive me, I'm sorry. Repentance is like saying, all right, so we're not going to do that no more. Right. I'm going to turn from how we were doing that, and it may not be a full 180, but as I told somebody one time, it's going to be increments of that 180, slowly turning from who I've been to who I want to be. I don't want to go back to that, but sometimes people put the pressure to like, you gotta do a full turn. You can't ever do nothing like that before again, and it's like, I think that's the beauty of change. Change doesn't just happen like that. It happens in increments. There's growth.
Well, it's like a pilot. How many, well, they say an average pilot, if they fly across the country, makes like 200 autopilot course changes during that flight. That pilot sitting in the seat is constantly changing that course. It's not like he in Charlotte, plugs in LA, all right, we're good. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. Change doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that the big thing for our kids is you have to come to a point where you realize when stuff like that happens and they get backed into a corner and you feel backed into a corner as a parent, you have to say, I've done everything I think that I could have done and that I feel like God led me to do.
Yeah.
I got to let him start to answer to God for himself.
Yeah.
You know,
sure.
like the example would be, let's say your child commits a murder one day.
Lord,
but prior to right, please no God. But let's say you got in that situation. But prior to that, you did everything in your power. You took him to counseling, you put him around people, you prayed for him. You did everything in your power. You couldn't have done nothing else.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? At some point, you have to give it to God. And I think as parents, we look at our children and we keep trying to fix them. And it's like, we got to fix them. We got to fix them. You can't be what I was. You can't do what I did. Or you doing your own mistakes. No, we can't do that either. I think sometimes we focus too much on the problems, right? And we don't focus on the good things to put that in and let it handle the problems. Put God into their life and be steady pouring into our children and let him work out from the inside of them.
No, I 100% agree with you. And that even takes me back to like the story you were telling earlier about how like your father-in-law modeled it for you. And when he left, he handed you the baton to say, listen to me, regardless of the gap that's there, because I'd love to hear the rest of that, of like regardless of the gap, the spiritual gap you see, and that a lot of times we compare ourselves to other people spiritually. Like, wow, yeah, it looks like he's a seasoned Christian. You know, he been rotisserieing for a while now. He got that gospel in him, but like realizing that like, yeah, he know everything, man. I mean, I'm talking about like he don't even got to flip to the Bible. He is the Bible. Like, and so we get so envious of that sometimes to say, man, like God, I want to be like them instead of being like, well, God, who do you want me to be? And I want you to show me a new thing. I want you to reveal yourself to me through what I am doing. Like, yeah, I might have just cracked open. I'm still in Genesis, but I think there's a lot that God can do in my life through just Genesis. I think you can show me so much of yourself through just Genesis. And so I think it's less about looking to like be her father, but being her husband, being their father, and you know, like I said, I haven't heard the rest of the story because I'd love to hear the rest of like just what that was like in a way, because I'm sure in a way you felt like, okay, I'm stepping into somebody's shoes. And Lord, these things, huge shoes. Like,
yeah. Now, when he passed away, we had number 3 on the way at that time. On the way. So you can only imagine.
Wow.
And I think as a husband, you feel helpless because like there's nothing you can do in that. Like, I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this. Here we are, though, you know. I think now looking back, it's cool to see how God was steering the boat, even when I didn't know what to do. I was still yielding in those moments. Now, I still made a lot of mistakes in those moments as well. But I think that led me to a path, and God pushed me and guided me onto the path to him to say, okay, this is gone, so I need you to be the leader of this family now. It's time for you to be what I created you to be. I didn't give you Jessica as a wife so that you could let your father-in-law lead your family. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I wish I would have seen that from day one. Right? How many issues, how much heartache would have been saved through that. And that's the thing. And honestly, it's a continued lesson that we all are continuing to learn being married. You know, I will fail every day and do stuff stupid every day. But if I decide to stay in those failures, that's the problem. But if I say, okay, I see this failure, God, but I repent on that and I need you to help me, it's time to not just say we're going to be different. It's time to be different.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
I think everybody is like, oh, I'm going to change. And that's good for 2 weeks. And then third weekend, you're like, oh, we right back, ain't we? How'd we get back here?
Yeah.
That's not real change.
Yeah.
That's not real desire to change, to be honest. You got in a bad spot, and you talking to God, telling him what you gonna do for the next couple of weeks to get out of that spot, right?
For sure. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. I look, countless times that I can remember where it was just like, all right, man, like I got to get my stuff together. Like she not gonna let me keep acting like this. Like I gotta. We make great attempts at duct taping, band-aiding the situation, but no real attempts to say the situation, what I've done is not the problem. It's me not addressing the problem. That's the problem. I am sitting here. I'm going to run that same play, but for now, I'm going to put up a smoking image. I'm going to put up. We're gonna go all the way out. We're gonna do everything to make sure she doesn't feel like this is who I am. When the truth is this is who I am, and to address that, I'm going to make you think this is not who I am for a little bit, to where it dies down. We can relax. Slowly go back to being me again, because that's just who I am. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, bro, like nobody want to hear that. But no, I mean, like this is not an attack on anybody. This is simply saying there comes a point where even if you don't do it for the people who depend on you the most, at what point do you get sick and tired of what you're doing? And if you don't ever, then I get it. Hey, look, I'm not
Ain't nobody else gonna change you for you, right?
Yeah, but I think about how, like, if things hadn't played out the way they did, I would probably still be doing the same things I was doing to this day. I would still be living the exact same life. I'd be still running in these streets. I would still be just up to no good. I was the worst example of a man to my son behind closed doors. But like what I projected to him was like this stand up, Father, I go to work and I handle everything. But like, I was doing so much damage to how he should see a man love his wife, love the woman that he's with. I was doing so much damage to how I showed up for them just because I didn't see it as it being that big a deal. Like, like, man, I'm back to what we were saying earlier. I was providing. I was providing at a high level. I was protecting. I felt like I was protecting at a high level. And I came home. And I felt like I checked off all the boxes. Mm-hmm. It's good enough. And I didn't realize that just doing that was like showing up to a job that I want to be my career. Showing up, I'm sharp. I'm showing up and I'm expecting them to make me a great offer. And they being like, well, sir, we'd like to make you an offer. Offer you minimum wage. It's like $5.50. Mm-hmm. And you being like, wait a minute. Wait, hold up. I took time off from my job that's making a little bit more than that, which is basically minimum wage, to step into a life that I'm wanting to provide. And you're telling me all you're going to offer me is minimum wage? And it's like, bro. Right. And so that's all we're offering. We're offering minimum wage to our families.
Well, it's like Holy Spirit just gave me this question in my head. Like, let me ask you this. When you do that and you're just bare minimum, and this is speaking to me directly, mm-hmm. How alive is your wife going to feel in those moments? You know what I'm saying? How pursued and how appreciated do they feel if you come home and it's like basketball game? Yep. You know? And I mean, let's face it. I know I'm not the only one on that needs to do better. I think we all do. Mm-hmm. And I think we're all guilty of that. We go to work. We get wore out at work. Mm-hmm. And we come home. We're tired. And there's problems and dinner's going on. And then cleaning's got to happen and bedtime's got to happen. And sometimes you come home and you're like, I don't want to do none of this crap. You know? And I don't think there's nothing wrong with feeling that way. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of the mothers would say, well, what do we do when we feel that way?
Okay, so I get exactly what you're saying. But you know what? I think that ties back into what did they see? Like we talked about like how we're a role model for our sons and the role models we may have had in our lives. But a lot of times it's also like, well, what type of upbringing were the women that are in our lives? What did that look like? How did their father show up in the home?
How did they develop those expectations?
Right.
Yeah.
And so if I saw my dad just come in and do the bare minimum as a woman, if I saw my dad come in and do the bare minimum and my mom was cool with that, then I'm not expecting much more from the guy I'm with. I'm just like, hey, look, you're showing up just like my dad, and I'm okay with that because I still love my dad,
right?
But he was a bare minimum guy, and so, but then you got those other fathers who just don't just go out and provide, but they go out, they come home and they lead their family. They come home and they make those memories. They spend time. They don't just come home and just turn on the TV. They do things with the family. They show up and they're leaders in their churches and in their communities. Mm-hmm. And so when you've grown up with a father like that, you've built an example. You see an example of somebody, and in most cases, they don't even date the guys who were like, look, I said I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna that ain't gonna work for him. So and then this is the crazier part. Don't let your wife make friends with a woman whose husband doesn't believe in minimum wage, doesn't believe in the bare minimum, because she's gonna start sitting there and being like, what'd you do to get him to do that? Like, how'd you, what was it that, like, you did to get him to do that? I'm just asking for a friend. And it's like, eventually she realizes that, no, his his bare minimum was never this 550.
Mm-hmm.
His dad said, hey, look, it's bigger than just providing and protecting. No. Your role in the house, God can provide and protect. Mm-hmm. He can do that. Matter of fact, he can. He is the provider and the protector. So if I'm doing his job for him, then basically I'm saying, God, I don't think you can do well enough. So like, let me just like slide in here with you and let's both do this providing and protecting instead of saying, no, God, you know what? You've been a leader to me, so I'm going to lead them now. And that may look like me showing up every morning, or me showing up and waking up early and spending time with you while doing the dishes, cleaning the kitchen, making sure the kids' lunch is made and stuff like that. I'm going to go and I'm going to get out of work early and go and pick them up. I'm going to show up at their practices. I'm going to make sure I make regular date nights with my wife. I'm going to show up way differently than how I've shown up because I recognize that I was just given a minimum wage. And it's not because I'm a bad guy. It's not because my dad's a bad guy, but see, my dad showed me minimum wage. When am I going to step up and say, yeah, you know what? I'm tired of giving him $5.50.
Mm-hmm. I think I would pivot it to say this.
Okay.
You know, I think there's a lot of men, including myself, that may sometimes feel like, okay, I'm giving it all I got. Like, I'm laying it all out there. I'm wearing out.
Yeah.
So you can call it minimum wage, call it what you want. I'm wearing out at minimum wage, but you want $30 an hour out of me now? Minimum wage is killing me. You know, like, how do I get from that to that?
That's a good point.
And what happens then?
Yeah.
I think, the answer is, there's no great answer for that. I think it's just growth has to happen there. I mean, I think spiritually you have to decide you're going to make changes, and God provides that the rest of that minimum wage to $30 an hour.
Okay. So okay, but and I think you know this. We both know this better than anything.
Mm-hmm.
There was something that at one point or another in our lives we were like, yeah, I'm gonna go and hang out around some other guys. I'm gonna, I don't know what that might look like. These guys, they're in the church community, but like, let me go and hang out around them. And I recognized that there was definitely nervousness, was there not? When you were like, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna like, yeah. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen here. I don't know what these guys will be talking about, but like, I'm gonna put myself into a community of other men just to see like maybe we all like this. And so like I can stop giving myself a hard time because like all of y'all like this, right? Like we all tired as we are. We all done a lot as we do. And so like we just like that's it, right? Like we don't we stop there, right? And then there's always that guy who's like, yeah, man, I remember when that was my life, man. That was all I had and I was tired. And I was tired. I really was. And eventually I felt convicted on what I was doing with all my time. I felt convicted on like what not that I'm tired, but like where am I putting all my energy? What am I putting my energy into? Like where is my energy running out at? Is it because I'm putting all my energy in at work and I'm giving my family the last little bit? Is it because I'm giving work enough, giving my family enough, but then I stay up and I pour into myself through sports and everything, video games and everything like that. Right. Like I think that a lot of times it takes, I believe our wives have done their best sometimes if they've recognized it. They're showing us what it looks like. Like, hey, look, can you think you can stop doing that for a little bit and come and like, look, like they're holding up that mirror to you and being like, hey, look, you think you can just stop doing, and you like, what you mean? I mean, like, I'm like I done slaved all day. Like I can't come home and just like sit here and watch this, or I can't do this, or I can't. Right. And that's not to say that you're a bad guy for doing that. But I think that when it's not getting through to us from her, we find community, maybe sometimes to like back us up. Like, bro, y'all tired too, right? And you realize that there are some guys that are like, bro, worn out.
Right.
I'm worn out. But like, they're like, yeah, but I realized that like I was getting worn out in doing things that weren't actually making any type of ripple in my life, in my family. And I'm doing a lot. We're doing a lot.
You're busy, but you're not productive.
There it is.
And that's the thing, man. The devil loves distraction. If the devil can distract you, then he keeps you away from your purpose.
How does that distraction look, though, sometimes?
Looks like we trying our best, and we not enough, and, well, you're too tired to do this, aren't you? Yes, you are. No.
Or look over here. Look over here. Check this out. Doesn't that catch your eye? Like, that looks good, doesn't it?
Yep.
Pay me a little bit more attention. Or my favorite. This one used to like have me like every once in a while just missing from life. Like, come up here to your office. You know what I'm saying? Lose yourself for a little bit. Go ahead, type it in. You don't forget? Don't worry, it's in your history. Don't worry, go ahead. There you go. Don't act brand new now. Right. Hey, you was no shame yesterday when you was up here looking at this. And you lose yourself. You start to lose yourself in things. And it don't always got to be as bad as that. It could be something as simple as like, I lose myself. Every man loves a nice lawn. Yeah, I was putting time, I can't let John have a greener grass than me, not today, not on my watch. Listen to me. I'm going to own this neighborhood with my green grass. And hours later, after we've given so much love to that grass, we come in and we give that last little bit of love to our families. Like, all right.
Well, it's like if so you losing yourself, right?
And distracted.
If that's the principle, if you're 10% of yourself trying to be 100% of what your purpose is, think about the effort that takes. You have to stretch 10% out to 100.
You don't have to stretch.
So as you lose yourself, you're not able to be fully yourself.
For sure.
It takes more effort. Therefore, you're always going to feel, I'm tired. I can't do this. I'm not enough. And so the more we find ourselves, the more we find it's easier to be what God made us to be.
So what about the guy who, what about the guy that you meet who doesn't even see a purpose for God in his life? Like, because I truly believe we all got purpose, right? We were all put here on purpose, for a purpose. But like, what happens when, like you just said, like, man, I'm really trying, man. I'm giving it a solid 10%, and none of us are supposed to be perfect, so it's not like we're trying to ace the test. But the truth is that I haven't even begun to scratch the surface, because I prescribe to the fact that I was put on this earth to come up with a great plan to leave my family, to make money, and to really make a splash in this world before I leave here. And I don't necessarily need God to do that. Like, I don't like, I mean, that's great that Christianity is like your thing, but I think there are a lot of men who feel like, I've done really well, and I've never been to church. I've never prayed. I've never really and I've done really well. And so what makes me think that you've got it better than me? Seeing as though I don't know what your life looked like before you were like really like giving your life, before you gave your life to Christ. But
so you're saying, so if somebody's struggling and they're following God, and you got this guy over here that's not following God, and he's living his best life, right? Yeah. Why would that person living their best life say, "How you better than me?" Right? That's the question.
I mean, that's another good way of looking at it too.
Well, I would say it like this: let's say I was that person that was asked that question. What are you looking to be better than me at? So if you're crushing life, right? Let's say you got millions of dollars, dream job, blah, blah, blah. You got it all. What are you really winning at on this planet? The material things of the world, right?
Winning, yeah, I was about to say they've got everything this world tells you that you should have. Like it's everything when you go on social and all these other places, and like you've not made it until you look like John over here, who's got, I mean, like he's got everything. I mean,
well,
everything.
I think it goes down to, would you rather have a great life, no God, no eternal life? Right? So when eventually your time on this earth is done, where are you going? Who's going to be winning then?
Well, in their mind, they're going the same place you going. I mean, they don't prescribe to that.
Right,
like I always tell people,
they don't think so.
They don't. Well, I mean, like they think we all gonna just sit in a grave and
if I don't rot. Look, if I don't prescribe to gravity and I jump out that third story window right there, what's gonna happen?
You're gonna realize that there's actually gravity for sure.
There you go. and so that's the thing is, to me, I would rather fight for God than not fight for nothing.
Yeah.
You could have everything and lose your soul, or you could have nothing but gain everything. You know what I'm saying?
No, bro. You said a million words right there. Yeah. No, for sure.
It's like, I'll take the guy fighting for God that's struggling to make a life for his kids any day long. I know that struggle. I've been there.
Well, I would tell you behind the scenes that guy who has everything
doesn't have everything.
He portrays that he has everything. I mean, like, bro, we could pull him up right now. And
look at Hollywood, like, for example.
Yeah, well, not even Hollywood. I mean, but yes, Hollywood is a good example. But I mean, heck, we got people that live right down the street from you that they got the boat, they got the car, they got the wife, they got the house, they got the dog, they got everything. Yep. And being that guy who chased that, I recognized that it was a constant high to continue to achieve, mainly because what you felt that you didn't tell anybody was that, bro, I am so empty right now. I am so empty that I think the next promotion, the next thing I buy will fix this emptiness. It'll finally give me this like completion feel, like this whole feeling of like, that was the missing puzzle piece that I didn't have. And so now that I put that puzzle piece in there, like, I'm good. And the thing is it's like you keep adding puzzle pieces, but the puzzle keeps getting bigger because you can never complete it and you never feel whole. You just constantly feel this churn to piece this puzzle together of the final piece to put in there, and now the big hole inside of me that keeps getting bigger with each thing I get but don't fill it. It's finally gonna close up, and I think that's what drives us. That's what pushes us into like, all right, that's got to be more than all of this. Like I've done it, I got it, I won it, I achieved it, and like it's still not fixing it. And so he looks over at you, the guy who has in his eyes nothing. This guy has nothing. He doesn't have half the stuff I have. He doesn't have a quarter of the stuff I have. Why is this guy good? Why is he going through so much and he's good? Why does he continue to show up and smile? Like if I were him, I would just give up. But why does he keep showing up when the truth of the matter is inside, I'm ready to give up?
They living from that world mind, man. Because I mean, look, if you just focus on what you have on this earth that you walk, yeah, you got a gauge. But as far as eternal life and what kind of life you're gonna have once this life on this planet's over with, yeah, that person that struggles, they're going to be walking into a mansion forever. And yeah, them 80, 90 years you had here was living it up. But you're going to be heading down south where it ain't so pretty for the winter. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, no,
the years you're going to spend down there ain't going to be nothing compared to the greatness that I'm going to see up there.
But let's be real. He's already spending that here. It doesn't look that way.
But how long, though?
What do you mean?
For how long? How many years do you think he's got on this earth, right?
Oh, no. Hear me out.
So that's my thing. You're going to trade 80 years for
But
eternity?
no, what I'm saying is that, like, he can live 80 years on here looking as though he has achieved and successfully had everything, but still deep down inside, he feels like he's in hell. He feels like he is lost. He feels like, and I think about that a lot when I sit there and I see people who on the outside, man, they look so like they've accomplished so much. I heard about this guy, Mr. Thank You. Have you heard about him? He's some guy online and he drives around. He gives money out. I mean, like his life just looks so grand. I think if you follow him, then your life looks like are you following? I think he puts up on people. He's like, are you following me? And if you are, he gives you like 10 grand. And I think to myself, okay, so if this guy has 10 grand, because he goes out with tons of money in his car and with him, I'm like, if you got 10 grand to give out, I can only imagine how much to each person, how much you got and how great your life has to look to people. But I also think to myself, I wonder what his life really looks like behind like social media, behind all the money he's offering, behind all the happiness that he looks like he's giving out. His life has to be happy. I wonder if his life is as good as the people whose lives he's allegedly changing their life through the money he gives out. And I wonder sometimes, is there something happening, or is there somebody that's getting closer to that person that can shine a light into the darkness they're experiencing here? Because it's don't get me wrong, our eternity matters, but I think it's what we're doing here and what happens to our lives here that really makes a splash, not just in our lives. Like, cool, I know where I'm going for eternity.
Right.
But that's great. But like, if I don't know that you're coming with me and you're my brother and I'm close to you and I sit next to you all the time and I ride with you and stuff like that, then what good? What good is it? Yeah. And so like, I think the same goes for our families. Like, I think it starts there, right? Like, I don't want just the best life that I can give my families here. I want the best life that I can give them for eternity. Mm-hmm. Like I think your father-in-law was like, I don't just want what's good for them here. Like, even if it's not that good, I want to instill in something in my son-in-law that he can make sure that he has the best life for eternity.
Let me tell you what that man would do. So he would pull me out on the front porch, right, at their house. And he have this chessboard set up, sit me across from him, a lot like me and you are now. And we playing chess. And, I met my wife at 20, 21. So I'm a young 20-year-old. And we just talking. And I look back at those conversations now, and I'm like, that dude was pouring into me like nobody ever poured before. I was playing chess, but he was really playing chess. If that makes sense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it'd be times where my wife would come out the house and be like, man, you ain't ready to go yet? I'm like, I mean, he playing chess. I'm just playing with his daddy.
Right.
And like we'd be sitting there for hours. And those times, I think he had the foresight to see what you're saying, to say, you married to my daughter now. I want to know who's leading her. And I don't want to know just who's leading her to the rest of her life here, but who's going to help lead her to the rest of her life beyond here.
Yeah. No,
for
sure. For sure.
And that was so huge, because look at that change. That led a series of changes in my life that I wouldn't be where I'm at now.
That's deep. That's, but think about it. He was making an investment. It wasn't just about him or like, oh, I ain't got nothing else to do. I ain't got nobody else. He knew that he had to make an investment in your life so that investment would pay off for his grandkids.
Right.
And I think that any good father, no matter how tired we are, no matter how short of time we have, if we're not making those investments into the people that are around us, even if I can't get through to my son, if I can make an investment to the people that he's around, maybe it's a youth leader that has my son's ear, that I can talk to him. I can share some of the things that are going on to where he has a better direction. Oh, I got a better angle. Okay, I see, I understand. And not sharing to where it's like, okay, well, that wasn't really discreet. No. Just saying that, hey, look, my son, he's going through a rough time now with this. Or he shared with me he's going through some struggles with dating or whatever the case may be. It's me investing in, I can't get him, but I can get him.
Right.
And he can get him. And so I think that's the beauty of what your father-in-law was doing. It was like, I've got her ear, but I need to get your ear because soon I won't be here, but you will be. And I need you to take my place, the place you were supposed to. And not to say that you weren't, you weren't man enough to do. No. The truth is that he poured into you the way a father pours into a son. And I don't know, I don't know if you had that father figure growing up that could pour into you that way, but I think that we all have a father that comes alongside us to say, let me pour into you, whether it be a mentor, whether it just be a community of brothers. We understand how important that is, but it's just knowing that like we need that. Like we like. And I think God has always been trying to put people in our lives. We've always wanted to kind of blend in and find our groups. But sometimes it's like when we open our hands and say, all right, man, I ain't choosing good. God starts to like input people
I ain't
into
batting good, Lord. Come on, swing the bat for me. Like I'm hitting singles. I know you hit a home run. Come on and do it for me.
Hey, man, like let's I know I didn't always, not to say I chose bad people. I think the people we're around, a lot of the people we choose, they're good people. I just think they're maybe not the right people for us in the seasons we step into. It might be time for us. It might be time for a lot of people that are listening right now to say, hey, look, the truth is there's some things that need to change in me, but as long as I stay here, change ain't gonna happen. We're all like, I look around, we're all doing the same thing. None of you guys are talking about change. So in order for me to change, I got to step away from this group. Not that y'all are bad guys, but I got to step away from this group and maybe find myself into another group that's going to just show me something different. It's going to like help me figure out like why I'm so tired and where I'm losing all my time and why I'm not showing up the way I want to show up. I mean, I'm tired of like continuously having to have these fights.
It's like working numbers. Like, look at where you are now, right? And look at how you got here. And look at all the things that in that moment, like 23-year-old me didn't know what 39-year-old me would be looking at. I can look back at 39 and see all the things God did at 23. But it was hard for me to see at 23 what God was doing at 23.
For sure.
Okay. And so it's like working the numbers backwards to say, okay, I'm 39 now. Well, at 59, what am I going to be looking back at 39-year-old me and saying, I wish I seen, or I wish I knew? And how can we effectively make changes now to have a better outlook looking back at 59?
Bro, I think you're right where you're supposed to be. I think it's less about worrying, well, not worrying, but like saying, what can I do to be better at 59? But saying, what am I doing now that is going to add to better myself, even if it's just for today? I mean, good one. This was a good one. You remember when Pastor preached one day win? One day win. I'm 59, man. I'm gonna have this. I'm gonna do one day win. And bro, none of us were ready for him to switch that on us and be like, why don't you worry about the one day win? WIN. And it was like, win today. My goodness. And I think that if we all could stay focused on like, if I win today and if I win tomorrow, but I don't need to worry about winning tomorrow today. Let me win today.
Yes.
When I get tomorrow, I work on winning tomorrow. There may be some days I don't win, but if I am staying focused on how many days I'm winning in the day, then I don't even worry. I don't need to worry about how I'm going to look at 58. I'm going to be good because there are going to be an accrued amount of days that I have won that have gotten me to 59, 60 to where I'm like, man.
Yep. It's like being a sports team. Like, you win the first game of the season. You focus on that one game. You don't know what an 80-win season is going to look like yet.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Eventually, if you do all those wins, yeah, you're going to have an 80-win season, but you don't know at win 1 what win 80 is going to look like.
For sure.
But here's the cool part is you play win 1 as if you were playing win 80.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that. Totally.
I want to, that's what I'm saying is I want to battle today like I'm a battle in the future. If I could go back to 23-year-old me now and battle like I can now, or battle like I could envision it now, bruh. Man, there were so many unnecessary battles that I so easily stepped right voluntarily into at 23, and here we are, and that led me down a path. But to some extent, sometimes that needs to happen too. You know,
for sure.
Sometimes it had to happen
for sure
for you to be you where you at now too. And so that's where God's will comes in, man. And that relationship. If you keep that daily relationship every day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think, and you know, I think about it. I don't think we would be here if it weren't for the good stuff and them battles that you had, that you had to go through to even be here, to even be able to share the story, to be able to talk about some of the things that even got you, that even put you into the battle. Because think about it, you weren't battling nothing beforehand. I mean, like a lot of us, we find ourselves sitting on the sideline, maybe even knowing there's a battle, like being like, it looks like they into a battle, but the sideline is cool. I'm straight. I'm not, ain't nothing to worry about. But I think it is knowing that, like, if I give my life to Christ, I am at that point putting on an armor to battle. And the crazier part is if somebody tells you, hey, look, yeah, you're going into battle, but by the way, just to let you know, spoiler alert, the war's already won.
Right.
But you got to battle every day.
It's focus. Like NASCAR drivers, they driving around, they spin out. They train them. Okay, if you're spinning out, don't look at the wall so you don't hit the wall, because you look at the wall and you start focusing on the wall, you're going to hit the wall. Right? Focus on the road ahead of you, and you're going to steer right onto that. I think so many times we focus at not losing that we're not focusing on winning. Yeah. Like you ever had an argument with your wife and y'all mad at each other the whole day? You get together at the end of the day and you like, listen, we need to talk. Here's the way I'm feeling. And then she say, well, here's the way I'm feeling. And then you like, wait a minute. We feeling the same way. We saying the same thing. Like, we agreed, but we was mad fighting the whole day because we were so focused on not losing. Yeah. I can't lose this argument, or I can't lose what I want to do, or I can't lose this peace in this moment, or why not focus on winning your wife over in that moment? Y'all saying the same thing. Get on one accord like y'all already are. You just got to have the vision and focus to see it right in front of you, like so many times. I look. I wish it was that simple. I mean, I wish like the way you just explained it, it seems so simple. Listen to me. Whether it be winning the argument or whether it be like, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. Like I think, and hey, look, by show of hand, I could be wrong here, but I think a lot of times, even if it's a losing fight, it's that I want to be heard in this fight. Yep. What are you really fighting about, kind of thing?
Like, well, yeah. It's like I'm not even trying to win this over or get you. I just want to be heard in the fight, and you can have it. You can have it. You can look. If you want to be the victorious one here, cool. But like, could you at least hear where I'm coming from?
Right.
And so yeah, and that was a sidebar from what you said, because you're right. A lot of times fights are really, it's two people that maybe they haven't communicated anything, but they're just mad because of what they both experienced. And so they're butting heads, and there's no communication in that. It's just like, ugh. I don't even like the way you breathe today. You wish you'd stop breathing. But the truth is that when you come together and like communicate what's going on, it's like, man, okay, I see, and I think that's so important to like be like, yo, I see where you're coming from, and even if it's against what I'm saying, it's like truly, like if you listen, you'd be surprised. You'd be like, oh wow, I ain't know you, like you said, I ain't know you was thinking that. Yeah. Okay. Cause that's crazy. I was thinking this way, and like and I think the beauty is when a person stops to listen to you and be like, that's crazy. Like the whole time I was thinking this way, and they're like, oh wow, okay. I now see why we've been, because our thoughts were leading us, our feelings got us really emotional, and now the emotion is like, and fight, and I think all of that creates a perfect storm to be extinguished by each other. Like two storms come together and they extinguish each other, and it's like, oh wow, like, but I had to stop and like hear your storm so you could hear mine and be like, yeah. So that's a good point.
Well, speaking for myself, control. You got to give up control of the discussion sometimes, because when you desire control, you're going to listen to respond every time, because you want control. You want the outcome, you want to be your outcome, nothing else. I don't want to hear what you got to say, because I want this to happen anyway. So I'm just listening to respond to what you really going to say anyway. You know?
See, I'm the type of guy,
and
though.
And so many times my wife, though, will be like, just listen to what I'm saying. Hear me. You know?
But see, I'm the type of guy that even in that control situation, like if you were to talk to me as your brother and be like, man, I'm just like, she doesn't understand. And it's not that you would say I want to control it, because nobody wants to be like, I'm just trying to control you. But no, what it is you can sense that, like, I'm trying to do this for us. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to control another person. And I always like to ask a person, like, well, why do you feel like you need to control that situation? Like, what is it in you that has made you feel like if you're in control, things will be okay? Or you fear not having control, and what is that doing? Because I recognize that it's in a lot of people's stories, when you ask them that, it goes back to a time where they had no control, where they lost control, where control was never given to them. And so they were just always in a plane that was going down and spiraling, and they just had to go down with it because they had no control.
Trauma based.
Yeah, well, yes, experiences for sure.
You were in a helpless moment, and you felt like you couldn't help yourself, so you swear, I ain't never gonna let that happen to myself again.
Yep.
So I'm gonna control everything.
For sure.
I ain't giving up no control.
Yep.
And that's what I'm gonna do.
Yep.
It comes from trauma.
And so I think a lot of people stop there. Yeah, it comes from trauma. I'm trying to control this because of my trauma. So now you understand why I'm trying to control it, right? All right, let me control it. I told you, it comes from my trauma. And the truth of the matter is your spouse, your son, your daughter, whoever it is, listen, that ain't theirs to understand. That's yours to understand. You need, because the truth of the matter is the control is the problem. But the real issue is the fact that you recognize you got trauma, but you don't actually want to go and face that trauma. Right. You don't want to go and look at that trauma. Oh, it's ugly.
We gonna talk about that box, but we ain't gonna open that.
Oh yeah, no, we're not touching that box. Like I would just rather control, so I don't have to deal with why I have to control, because of something that happened long time ago, and I don't feel like talking about it. So we just gonna skip over that, and I'm going to let me control this. It's mine to control. I don't want to deal with that. I don't think it's the worst thing. I think a harmful thing that's happened in this world is that people are starting to realize that trauma dictates how they show up. So they use it as an excuse to continue to control and act a certain way instead of address the trauma. Yep. They recognize that something happened, but they use that as almost like a get out of jail card. Like, come on, you know what I got trauma that you know I experienced some things, and it's like, yeah, no, I know, but do you know? Like, and how well do you know? And what happened? Yeah, well, I don't want to talk about that. Well, see, the thing is that you won't have to, like, just because it happened doesn't excuse your actions that continue to come from it. Like, I think people, it's great that people do the work to recognize there's something, but it doesn't mean nothing till you open the box and you pick it up out of there and you look at it and you realize how ugly it is and you remember what it did to you and remember how it affected to you, and it's gonna take you through every feeling and emotion, and it's not till you sit there with that and you remember what happened, like you remember like how bad that hurt, you remember who did it to you, and there may come, not even may, there's going to be a level of like, either I'm gonna put this back in the box and keep living with it, or I'm gonna forgive myself.
Right.
I'm gonna forgive them. I'm going to surrender that to God and say, man, this is ugly. But if there was ever a person that could take it, it could be a father who loves me so much that you're not ashamed of me or ashamed of this. I can give this to you. And I think that's when, like, you stop living behind things like I want to just keep everybody under my control. I want to make sure I protect, and I want to make sure I provide. I mean, even provision sometimes can be rooted in something that's like, bro, my family never provided. They never had. I don't ever want to be like that. So, like, one thing I'm going to make sure I do is I provide for you guys, and where that's great. That's awesome, man. You know, a lot of people look up to that and be like, man, my dad showed up and he brought home the bacon, man. I'm talking about big bacon. But it's like, in exchange for that bacon though, I didn't ever see him in my game. Or I didn't ever, you know, I don't remember him showing up to that little award ceremony. Like I looked out there and, you know, but the bacon was good, and it's like, dang.
That's funny you said that, man. So my 14-year-old Gabe, he had 8th grade formal last night, right? And I took a day off last week, and we snuck away to the beach and everything, and that was great. I couldn't take off for his 8th grade formal. So I kept telling my wife, well, I got to work, got to bring home the bacon. Bring him by. Just bring him by the office on your way out. Well, of course, stuff happened. He took, they had a whole awesome photo shoot, took great pictures. They had like 150 pictures. He ended up being late. I was like, yo, just don't stop out here. Just get him there. So I'm like, cool, I need to get, so I get home after work, and they're showing me all these pictures. I see all these beautiful pictures. He got pictures with Jessica, with her mama, her aunt, his aunts, and my mom, my dad, my kids, the rest of my kids had this picture, that picture. And I'm like, I don't got no picture. I need to get a picture. Right? So we try to hurry on up to the school. By the time we get there, it's done. And I'm picking him up, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to pull over here and we're going to take a picture. And he's like, nah, Dad, I'm ready to go home. I'm done with pictures. I'm like, okay. Then my wife's like, oh, my sister, she's at this restaurant. Let's go there. So we go there, and there's a parking lot full of cars at this restaurant. And I'm like, cool, we'll take a picture here. We here. You still dressed up? So we got this picture with me and him in a parking lot full of cars. In a dark picture, the sun's down by now. They have beautiful pictures. Mine's in a dark parking lot with my arm wrapped around them, and it's like, and I just felt like I wasn't there. Like I missed that,
Mm-hmm.
Or even saying like, okay, I should have been there. I dropped the ball for him, and he shared that moment with everybody else, which is awesome. And he had a great time, right? He had a great time. He lived his best life. but where was I? You know, and that right there is the trouble of being a father, providing, especially when you have 4 kids and you got to be here, be there, and there's this event and that event. Oh, we're already talking about graduation next week, and I got to close down early and this, that, and other. You know, It adds up, man.
Yeah, but I mean, and look, I totally get it. I totally get it, bro. And that's it. You know, it's not about like shaming the next man and be like, dang, bro, why you didn't show up? I mean, because I think we've all been in that space where it was like, if I could, I would. I mean, I really want to get away. And I think it's never going to be perfect, but I do know that a lot of times we tell ourselves that if I don't do this, then I won't be able to afford that or be able to take you here, or be able to pay for this. And our kids may not be able to voice this, but I think that if you were to tell them, hey, look, I can't get you those cool pair of shoes to walk into graduation if I don't work, they would be like, yo, I'd rather wear these Bobos and see you in the crowd while I walk.
Right.
Than to wear the coolest shoes and you not be there to witness it.
And watch what happens too. So like we get to that parking lot and Jessica gets my phone and she taking a picture. God bless her. She can't take no pictures. If you gonna give somebody a phone to take a picture, you ain't gonna give it to my wife. I love you. God bless you, but don't take no pictures.
She gonna hear this. But go ahead.
But anyhow, so she takes these pictures and it's a glaring one. This one we ain't even smiling. Bad angle. It's twisted. And I just vented on her. You know what I'm saying? She was the target because I was feeling guilty.
Yeah.
And I went off like, man, you ain't take no pictures. We ain't do this. We ain't do that. You didn't. You know, we was late. What was the real problem? It wasn't Jessica.
Yeah.
Jessica, God bless her heart, can't take no picture, but that wasn't the problem.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I do. I do.
And I think as men, we find ourselves too. We vent.
There's casualties because we don't want to address the real issue, and sometimes it's that we're just, as you probably felt, because how did you really feel in that moment? Like what was really going through your mind?
I wasn't there for my child.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the sad thing is, the closest people to you gonna always be the first casualty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You married, your spouse usually your first casualty. She gonna be the one that catches it from you.
But the truth is what she really could have caught though, is that you could have even pulled her to the side. Maybe you did later on and say, hey, I wasn't even really mad at you. I was really mad at myself.
Mm-hmm.
I felt bad that I wasn't there. I could feel how he was feeling through his actions. And so in turn, it began to tell me a story of how bad of a dad I am because I didn't show up.
Yeah.
And so that feeling inside of me, I had to release it. I had to voice it without voicing it. Like I didn't know how to say,
yeah,
I messed up. I'm sorry. So I voiced it by saying, you don't even know how to take a picture. What's wrong with you? Like all you gotta do is hold the camera steady and turn. So and that's a lot of times it feels safer to do that than to really just be like, yo, you know what, son? This is a learning opportunity to say that I didn't get that right. I ain't do this right. I should have just come. And I recognize that there's rules and all this other stuff, but there's also, you only do this one time, this particular time. And so I think it's less about beating up myself for not being here, but I think it's the next steps we take of saying, I was wrong, son. I made a mistake. Your dad, the one who's the provider and protector and the one who's supposed to show you how to be a man, you can learn from me in this moment. And the best thing you can learn from me is how you can come back and say, yo, I messed that up, man. I messed that up. Yeah. So don't carry maybe the bitterness you feel right now. Don't carry that into your adulthood and allow yourself to make the same mistake I made. You can now recognize that I'm doing what I hope that maybe you'll do one day, or you'll remember how, like, my dad didn't just, he's going to make mistakes, but it was what he did in the mistake, or what he did in the oversight. Because I don't think it was a mistake. It was just like, I could have reframed that. I could have showed up differently, and that doesn't make me a bad guy. Because that's how we feel. It doesn't make me a bad guy. It just makes me a guy who's still learning.
You know, the funny part is, a lot of times when you do that, your kids will be like, "You good, Dad? Like, I know you had to work." Or like, I took him to the bowling alley after that because all the kids got together. But he'll probably be like, "You took me to the bowling alley. I sat in the car and ate some nasty bowling alley nachos while this kid spent an hour in there with his friends."
Right.
Like that happened right after that.
Right.
And I think a lot of times we fight the unnecessary fight.
Mm-hmm.
We're fighting a battle that we our own enemy. We just beating ourselves up.
We already feel bad, but we keep the fight going. And then the sad part is we beat other people up because we beat ourselves up enough. Like I'm so beat up. Like you need to be in this fight with me. So let me sucker punch you. Like as if it's not enough that I'm beating myself up. I'm gonna beat on you too. And it's like, yeah, bro, it's not it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, you know what? That's big to even say that. Big to even recognize that. A lot of people, they just go on and they, it's life. It is what it is. I think in recognizing it and pointing it out, you're bringing it to the light. You're letting him know how you feel. You're showing him like what a man really looks like. In that, by the way, men are not supposed to be perfect. Men are gonna mess up, but it's not just messing up and just like just harping on it and dealing with it yourself. No, it's sometimes coming back and saying, "Hey, look, man, I messed up." And then you saw how I treated your mama. Like, that's not how you do it. Like that was me letting me get feel some type of way and then just exploding on other people. And so the best thing I could ever do in teaching you how to be a man is recognize, like, I didn't handle that well. So let me show you how to handle that in the future, personally, with your future spouse, maybe with your future kids. Once again, it goes back to, like, I'm going to display a version of myself that is Christ-like by showing you who Christ is in me.
Especially as boys, like raising boys, it's showing them that they can be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was a hard lesson through COVID. Like, I'll never forget, my boys got COVID. And my wife would be home with them and be like, she'd be texting me at work, "They're so sick. Like, they're dying. They are in bad shape." And I'd get home and they'd be like bouncing off the walls like, "Hey, Daddy, hey, what's up?" And she was like, they was not like that. And she pulled me in the back room one time and was like, "You know why they do that? Because they don't want you to see them weak."
Sheesh.
She's like, "That's not really fair that they have to pretend like they're not sick when they literally got COVID, but they can't even show you that they're sick. Like, what's the message that we're really sending to our kids there?"
Sheesh.
Right?
Wow.
And
that's heavy, bro.
And so that taught me in that moment that I'm making them feel like they can't be vulnerable at all.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be impenetrable, strong,
mm-hmm.
can't hurt, can't be sick, can't be weak.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it's moments like we just talked about. That's our opportunities sometimes to show them it's okay. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sick. It's okay to be weak in moments.
Yeah.
You're going to feel that. Because guess what? If you don't allow them to be able to display that, then they're going to grow into adults who don't know how to process that.
Yeah. Facts.
Right?
Facts.
I think both of us could agree that we have things, and it's not that our parents did wrong, but as men, we were made to feel we were supposed to be a certain way and carry a certain stigma and a certain masculinity. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's all lies from the devil. You know, a man is supposed to be a man and do manly things, but being invulnerable is not one of them.
Yeah. No.
Sometimes it's more manly to be vulnerable.
I won't even say sometimes. I would say
all the time.
Every situation is different, but I love to go back to the scripture that, like, when I am weak, then I am strong. And so the question is how do most people look at people that are weak? And I think that vulnerability is just one of those big things where people always see vulnerability as like, that's a weakness, especially for a man. That's a weakness. But I've recognized that where we are weak in others' eyes, that is when we are truly strong. And being able to say that, like, I don't think I got what it takes. I don't think I'm enough for this. I don't think I'm the one they're looking for. I don't think I'm strong enough for this. That takes a lot to admit. But I think in admitting that, you recognize that there's nothing like having a person that comes back to you and says something like, "You're right, bro. You're not strong enough. You're right, bro. You're not enough." But with him,
but
bro,
he is.
Bro, with him, you are strong. With him,
right,
you are enough. With him, you can do all things. And recognizing that you're right. Like, the truth is there was no pep talk to get me to believe that I can do it on my own. Oh, you just got to push harder. You got to dig harder. No, it's recognizing that with him, I can do all things. Through him, everything is already accomplished. It may not look the way I expected it to look. Like, I thought I would win this game. But see, there's something bigger in learning and what you've experienced. And I think that we can all look back and be like, oh, no, it didn't look the way I thought it would. I thought I would. And you realize that, like, looking back now, you're like, oh, wow. That was bigger than me. That was bigger than me. That wasn't about my win, but it was about, even in the loss, there was a win in that. Like, there was a win, not just for me, but for others who watched how I moved after I lost, watched how I got back up and jumped back into it again after I took that L. And I think, man, sometimes, man, that's just like, that's so powerful, bro. And that it does more than we could have imagined if we had just got the win.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, that's that to me, just like, it's encouraging looking back at my L's and being like, man, if I hadn't taken that loss, I wouldn't be here. Right. If I hadn't taken that loss, that wouldn't have been an opportunity for me to show somebody how to take an L and, like, still persevere through that. If I hadn't taken that L, then it wouldn't have closed that door for me to go into the right door.
Well, watch this. Some of your biggest W's come behind some of the biggest L's. Like, imagine a basketball game. Team get blown out by like 30. You already know that next game, you fixing to catch everything from them. They're going to give you everything, you know. And
woke you up.
And I think that's the thing is, what if those big L's don't happen sometimes? Then you'll never have that explosive W that follows that. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Dang, man. We done been all over the planet tonight, man. This was good, bro. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you just sharing tonight, man. Man, I think it was so deep to just speak from a space of like, and I don't know how often I get to talk about like what it looks like to be a leader in our homes, what it looks like to maybe not have started as a leader, but to have great examples and know that we're still a constant work in progress. There was no level of like perfection that was already supposed to have been accomplished and just the handoff. But it's like, yo, I'm a constant work in progress, because one of these days I'm going to have to sit on that porch and play chess with them. And I don't have to wait till later. I can start doing that now.
Yep.
To give them the same thing that was given to me. And I think outside of just the fact that like there's so much I need to impart on you, it's those moments where they get to have those conversations with you and one, see your vulnerability, but then say, oh, well, then if it's safe to say that, man, like I've been feeling this way. And you be able to speak into that, not from like this tough dad, but like from this, like, yeah, man, I felt that way too, bro. Like, yeah, that might have been from my story too, or I've been there before, and be able to then point them in the direction of your mentor, of their mentor, to say, yeah, but trust me, in his eyes, in his works, through him, and listen, you hadn't even scratched the surface. I think that's where it's like you're truly imparting something. You're truly investing. Like, oh, Dad, you gonna give me a car? You gonna make sure you have a college fund for me? Man, listen to me. I'm about to invest more into you than that, man. Like that, yeah, that'll get you. Yep. That'll get you on the road. That'll get you to success. But like true success is in knowing who you belong to. You just came through me.
Yeah.
But you belong to him.
Right.
So deep. It's good. It's good. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I'm not, and look, there was this moment, there was this thought in my head where I was like, Joey, where when we first met, man, I'm not even gonna do it tonight.
Oh Lord,
man, me and Joey, we got a past that's so funny, man. But
thank God for change.
Thank God, thank God for change, man. Listen to me, like there's some people I don't go back that far with, so it's like, yeah, maybe you just saw me after a lot of change. But then there's some people where it's like, boy, hey, look, good to see you on this side now. Good to see you on this side. So glad we made it here together. Whew, boy, we was out there, weren't we? But hey man, I appreciate you coming and sitting with me today, man. I appreciate you man. Truly sharing, opening up and sharing a lot of things that truly took vulnerability to like even say and even share and even admit, because the tough man doesn't ever back down. He's never wrong, and he never shows signs of weakness. And this would go against all the rules of certain men's levels of masculinity. But I think what we do here, man, is showcases a level of masculinity that God would be proud of. Our boys will be proud of. The women in our life will be proud of.
Yep.
And that in itself, I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I'm truly good with it. So, bro, thanks again. I thank you all for listening. Is there anything you want to impart on us, man? How can people connect with you? How can people find you? What are you doing out here, man, that people could connect with you and if you're even a connector?
I'm low profile.
Low profile, okay. All right. I got a lot of low profile guys that come here.
I'm just a regular guy like everybody else, man.
Yeah, no, that works.
It ain't about what you can find. It's about who you know.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I know you, man. That's what I would say.
And I'm glad we both know him, bro, because that's how we came back together. We both were seeking after the same guy, and we bumped into each other.
I mean, that's the thing is it's divine appointments, man. I'm glad you're obedient to what God's doing to allow this to happen, you know?
For sure. No.
I think God can take this and even beyond what you're seeing now and the success you've seen so far in your podcast. You don't know what God can do with it, man.
For sure.
Just keep being obedient. That's my encouragement to you, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, bro.
I really admire you and everything you do, man. I look up to you as a brother,
bro.
Man.
Look, I appreciate that, man, because there was a time when I didn't look up to me, bro. I actually looked down to me, and I honestly felt like if I was honest with everybody would look down at me too. Mm-hmm. But God came and took something, and I'm honored to be able to point other people who look up to me to say, hey, look, we'll keep looking up, because like I'm not the one who did all this. I mean, we talked about that before this started, bro. I'm not the one who did all this, bro. I appreciate him using me as a vessel. I appreciate your yes and you coming to sit down with me to be used and to allow, you know, your story to share God's glory of what he's done in your life and how he continues to mold you and work on you and sharpen you. But I think without all of our yeses, bro, like not to say God won't do it, but he's going to do it. But I'm glad that he could do it through us. And so I think that in itself has people looking at us and saying, man, I want to be like those guys right there.
Yeah, man, God can't do what you won't do. It takes that yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know what? The sad part about it is I think he can, but he might do it with somebody else.
How about he won't do what you can't do, what you won't do?
Yeah. So I'm glad we were both obedient, bro. I'm glad we're both in this journey, man. I'm glad we both know each other, and we know each other from this space, you know, because it's encouraging to see people who you walked alongside of in the past that you thought you may have left behind, to see them like, oh, snap, bro, I didn't know you was here. Like, whoa, this is cool. So it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing. Well, hey, guys, we thank y'all for tuning in today. We thank y'all for joining us. We hope this blessed you. Hope this maybe it woke something in you. Maybe it made you think about some things. Maybe it made you be like, whoa, dang, okay, that's a good idea. It's good. It's a good thought. I'm going to ponder on that. I'm going to process through that. So whatever it did, don't just brush it off. Don't just walk away and be like, oh, man, whatever. Nah, like dig into that. Think more about that. You know, let that be something that stays with you for a little bit, and lean into it. I think God's really trying to do something through, I know God is doing something through these conversations, and sometimes it could just be a little nudge in your heart. It's like, yeah, hey, hello, come on now. And so lean into that. We both did. Look where it got us.
We're still getting us.
Well, y'all be blessed. We will catch you on the next episode. Love you guys.
Bye.
We appreciate you listening today and hope that if you enjoyed this episode, you'll like and subscribe and also listen to past episodes. We hope to bring you great future content as well. Please comment your thoughts on this episode as well as leave any prayer requests below so that this community can pray alongside you. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at God's Glory and Israel Stories.
Brothers, we understand how the thoughts of even facing your own past and current story and the pain and hurt that come along with this is no easy task. But you're not alone, as you hear in these episodes. Nor has God forgotten you or left your side, as he's in it with you, fighting alongside you through the storms of life. He loves and has already forgiven you, no matter what you have done, and he wants a relationship with you. Your healing, freedom, and growth are important to God, and to us as well. Maybe you're considering giving up, or need someone to talk to. Here are a few resources that already exist that we hope can shine a light into that dark place you're in. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number is 1-800-273-8255. If you need support but are not in crisis, consider reaching out to a warm line with individuals who would love to talk with you. Speaking to someone on these calls is typically free and confidential, and run by people who understand what it's like to struggle in life. Find a local number by going to warmline.org.